Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining the Srimad Bhagavatam class. We will start with prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskrityam naran chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udhirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauradushe Namaha Panchatattvaatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatamaham mande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tatsat Hare Krishna. So today we'll be discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 14. So let's read the verse together. Apannah samshrutim goram yannama vivasho ghrinan tatas sadhyo vimuchyeta yad vibheti swayam bhayam. Translation. By His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared even by fear personified. So in this verse, generally the speciality about Srila Prabhupada's books, right, are the word-to-word meanings, which help us understand the Sanskrit text completely and without any ambiguity. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So let us try to understand this verse word by word and then line by line. Apannah samshrutim goram. Apannaha means entangled. Samshrutim means in the meshes of birth and death. Goram is very complicated. So entangled in the complicated cycle of birth and death. Yannama vivashogrinan. Yannama, if the Lord's names are vivasho, even unconsciously, grinan chanted. So if the Lord's names are even unconsciously chanted, what happens? Tataha sadhyo vimuchyeta. Sadhyo means immediately. Vimuchyeta, one gets over the cycle of birth and death. One gets freed from the cycle of birth and death. Yat bibeti swayam bhayam. So such name of Lord Krishna is even feared by the fear personified. So one who is entangled in the complicated cycle of birth and death, which is all of us, even if we chant the holy names of the Lord unconsciously, what will happen? We will be immediately freed from the cycle of birth and death. And this holy name of Lord Krishna is feared even by the fear personified. So this verse actually talks about the glories of the holy name of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport how Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa were all killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said Kamsa was always fearful. He was always thinking when Krishna will come and kill him, like that. He was very fearful because he was always interested in engaging in sense gratification. He wanted to rule the kingdom, so he was always in anxiety whether his desires would be fulfilled or not. But the devotees, they are not at all fearful. Why? Because they depend on Krishna, right? They know that the satisfaction of the soul is not in sense gratification, but is actually in serving the Supreme Lord. And in Bhagavatam, there is a very beautiful verse which actually explains what gives satisfaction to the soul. Savai pumsam paro dharma yata bhaktir adokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The eternal occupation of every living entity is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Savai pumsam paro dharma. What is dharma? Dharma is the eternal occupation of a living entity. Yata bhaktir adokshaje. So we need to render service to adokshaje, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how such service has to be done? It has to be ahaituki and it has to be apratihata. Ahaituki means it should not be motivated. Like we should not think we are serving the Lord. So Lord, give me money, give me some good job. No, it is not, it is costless. Apratihata, it should be uninterrupted, right? So one day we have the mood, we are rendering service to the Lord. One day we don't have the mood, we don't render service. No, it is not like that. Unmotivated and uninterrupted. Both has to be satisfied. Then why are we doing it? We are doing it for the Yayatma Suprasidati. Because if we satisfy the Supreme Lord, then it would automatically satisfy our soul. So like that. So the devotees, they know that the Krishna is their most, that Krishna is their well-wisher and their, Suhranam, it is mentioned in 5.29. Krishna mentions Surdam Sarva Bhutanam, right? So Krishna is their most well-wishing friend. And the devotees know whatever Krishna does is for my good. So when that kind of a faith is there in Lord Krishna, then there is no fear. Right? Our Srila Prabhupada's name is Abhay Charanaravinda, right? One who is fearless, having taken shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So we can evaluate ourselves now, right? To the extent we are fearless, to that extent we have actually surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, yeah. So there are many verses and pastimes that glorify the holy names of the Lord. One of the very hope-giving pastimes that I would like to narrate today is about Ajamil. Right? Ajamil was a very great devotee of the Lord. He was rendering very nice service to the Lord. But one day, when he was just walking along the forest, he just saw a prostitute. He got attracted, and then he fell down from his practice of devotional service. But Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayo na vidyate. Swalpam api yasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Swalpam api yasya dharmasya. Even a devotional service, little bit of devotional service, what is done, that will also protect one from the greatest type of fear. Right? Since Ajamila had performed devotional service prior to his fall down, he had sufficient amount of sukriti. And due to that, he had named his last son Narayan. So at the time of his death, what happened? Due to his various sinful activities, the Yamadutas were ready to take him to the hellish planets. It is said 3 Yamadutas were there because Ajamila was engaging in Manasa, Vacha, Karmana, mind, word, and deed. He was engaging in sinful activities. So 3 Yamadutas were ready to take him to the hellish planets. Right? But what did he do? He is looking at the Yamadutas, he got very scared. He just shouted, Narayan, Narayan, save me, Narayan. He was not calling out to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was only calling out to his youngest son. Right? So in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very beautiful verse which says, Sanketyam parihasyam va, stobam helanam eva va, vaikuntanama grahanam, ashesha agaharam viduhu. So Sanketyam means indirectly also one can call Krishna. Like in this case, he was calling his son Narayan, and it also happened to be the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So indirectly he called Narayan. Parihasyam, in a joking way, like now it's Bhadra Purnima month. So people, when we call people to distribute, to take one set of Bhagavatam, they say, oh, the Hare Krishna people are again here, like that. So in a joking way also they tell the name of Krishna. That is also beneficial. Stobham, we have several professional musical reciters, right, who sing Maya more mein nahi makhan khayo, like that. So they are telling about the pastimes of Lord Krishna, right? That also has benefit. And Helanam, sometimes we sneeze, we say Krishna. We're not referring to Lord Krishna, but we're just mentioning the name of Krishna very carelessly. So even that is very beneficial. And what does the verse say? Vaikunta nama grahanam ashesha aga haram vidu. One who chants the holy name of the Lord. Vaikunta is also the name of the Lord, right? And ashesha aga haram viduhu. Ashesha means unlimited. Aga means sins. Haram viduhu. The great sages say that such mountain of sins also get relieved by just chanting the holy name of the Lord. But not in a very devotional mood. Simply either jokingly or even for musical entertainment or even by indirectly calling the Lord. So here, what did Ajamil do? Ajamil chanted in a Sanketyam way. He just called out his son, but it happened to be the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what happened? 4 Vishnudutas came, and the 3 Yamadutas were sidelined, and the 4 Vishnudutas took the center stage. Why 4 Vishnudutas came? Because he chanted the name Narayana, 4 syllables. So 4 Vishnudutas came, and they were ready to take Ajamil. So in this way, Ajamil got a second chance simply by chanting the name of his son. And how did he get the fortune? Because he had rendered service at some point in time. And because Krishna says, a little bit of devotional service you do also. It will never be forgotten. It will help you at the time of your need. So like this, there are many such Shastra Praman or evidence from Vedic literatures that gives the glories of the holy name. So I would like to now quote some few verses. What happens, why Shastra Praman is very important. See, the Shastras are said to be like the mother, right? So just like we know who is our father by asking our mother, like that, we can know about the Supreme Father, Lord Krishna, by referring to the scriptures, which are like our mother. Right? By understanding these verses from the scriptures, it will increase our faith in the holy names of the Lord. And then we can chant attentively and with complete focus and absorption. Right? So first, let's take some verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavatam 12.3.51, there is a verse which says, Kaler doshi nidherajan astihi ekon mahan gunaha kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Kaler doshe nide rajan, the Kali Yuga is full of faults. Astihi ekon mahan gunaha. There is only one good quality. What is that? Kirtana deva Krishnasya. By just chanting the names of Lord Krishna, what will happen? Mukta sangha param vrajet. One gets free from material bondage and can go back to the transcendental world. And then there's another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 12.13.23. This is the very last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can say that this is the concluding verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, where it says, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Samanas Tam Namami Harim Param. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya. So the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord, what does it do? Sarva Papa Pranashanam. All the sins are destroyed by the congregational chanting of the holy name. Then what happens? Pranamo dukkha shamanas, by just bowing down or paying obeisances to the Supreme Lord. Tam namami harim param, by just paying obeisances to the Supreme Lord. What happens? All the misery, all the difficulties which are there in the heart are automatically destroyed. Then there is a very beautiful verse in Kali Santaran Upanishad. It is mentioned, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti shodashakam nam Kali kalmashanashanam nata parataropaya sarva vedeshu drishyate. Iti shodashakam nam. The 16 words of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 8 plus 8. 16 words of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. What does it do? Kali kalmashanashanam. It removes the contamination of the effect of Kali. Nata parataropaya. There is no other alternative. Vedeshu drishyate. From the Shastras we understand that there is no other way other than chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra which can remove the contamination of the effect of Kali. So now let's move to Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? In Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 7.76, 7th chapter, 76th verse, it says, Harer Nama, Iva Kevalam, Kalo Nastieva, Gatir Anyata. It is only the holy name of the Lord. It is only the holy name of the Lord. It is only the holy name of the Lord. Why is it emphasized 3 times? Because this is Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, we are Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Upadrataha. Because in Kali Yuga, we are all extremely foolish. We don't understand things easily. So, that is the reason it is emphasized 3 times. It is the holy name of the Lord. It is the holy name of the Lord. It is the holy name of the Lord that can deliver one in this age of Kali. There is no other way. Kalo nastyeva gatir anyata. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. Again in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 17.22, which is 17th chapter, verse number 22, it says, Kalikala Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Nama Haita Haya Sarva Jagata Nistar. In this Kali Yuga, the Lord has come in the form of his holy name. Kalikala Nama Rupa Krishna Avatar. Krishna has come in the form of his name. And what happens to one who chants the name? Nama Haite Haya Sarva Jagata Nisthara. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is liberated from this material world. And where does he go? He goes to the transcendental abode, the supreme personality of Godhead. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, there is a very beautiful verse, which is in chapter 17, text number 133. It says, Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvan Nama Namino. Nama Chintamani Krishna. The holy name of Lord Krishna is transcendentally blissful. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, it is the mellow of all the transcendental mellows put together. It is a form of that. Purna Shuddho, it is completely pure. Nitya Mukto, it is eternally liberated. So what is the difference between Shuddho and Nitya Mukto? I was hearing the lecture of His Grace Amarendra Prabhu. He was giving an example of how if there is a dal that is actually fallen down on the floor, we need a cloth to wipe. So we will take a clean cloth. We will wipe the dal that is on the floor. Then what happens? The place is clean, but the cloth which we use for wiping the dal, that has become dirty. But the holy name is not like that. The process is such that while it cleanses our dirty heart by the chanting of the holy name does not get dirty. That is why it is called Nitya Mukto. An example is given like the sun. That the sun clears the urine and other abominable substances which are there. It evaporates. The sun evaporates. But the sun itself does not get contaminated. The sun is of the sun. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, he represents the sun and the moon. So like that, when we use the holy names of Lord Krishna to cleanse the mirror of our heart of all the anarthas, the holy name still remains pure. That is why it is called Nitya Mukto. It's eternally liberated. Abhinnatvan Nama Namino. There is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and Lord Krishna himself. A very beautiful verse. And of course, our very most important verse, this is the only prayer that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has left, right? This is the Shikshashtakam prayers, the only instructions given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Lord Krishna himself, who came in the form of a devotee to establish the Yuga Dharma and to help the Jivas attain the goal of the human life. Right? So what is this verse? This is the verse 2 of Shikshashtakam, which says, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktish Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kala. Nam Nam Akari Bahuda. There are millions and thousands of names of Lord Krishna. Tatrarpita Niyamita. There are no rules in chanting these names. Etadrishi Tavakripa Bhagavan Mamapi. By simply chanting these names, what will we get? We can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavan Mamapi. Unfortunately, I have no taste in chanting the holy names of the Lord. So now we know the glories of the holy names. But what is the problem now? We don't have any taste in chanting the holy names of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada says, if you don't have taste, don't worry. Chant your 16 rounds. Get up early in the morning and chant your minimum 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Like what the previous verse, we saw how we have to hear from a guru coming in a bona fide disciplic succession. So we have to have faith and follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and our guru and chant minimum 16 rounds attentively. Right? Here a very nice analogy is given. How there is a night watchman, right? He's paid if he's awake the whole night. Right? He may be reading, he may be talking on the phone, he may be walking around, but as long as he's awake and he's doing his duty, he will be paid his salary. Similarly, as long as we are utilizing the tongue in chanting the holy names of the Lord, as long as we are doing it in the Brahma Muhurta time, right, as prescribed by our Guru and Acharyas, we would get the reward of chanting the holy names of the Lord. But the only thing we need to be careful is we should not be committing Vaishnava Aparadha. Right? In Srimad Bhagavatam it says, Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeti purusham param. Whether one has so many material desires, like mountains of material desires, or whether one has no material desires, what one has to do? Tivrena bhakti yogena, one has to just engage in the devotional service of the Lord, yajeti purusham param, by chanting the holy names of the Lord. So there are different processes of devotional service that are given, right? We have this very beautiful song by Srila Govinda Das Thakur. Bhajahure mana Shri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Dasyare Pujana Sakhi Jana Atmanivedana Govinda Das Abhilashare. Shravana Kirtana, hearing and chanting. Smarana Vandana, remembering, worshipping. Pada Sevana, worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord. Dasya, becoming a servant of the Lord. Pujana Sakijana, offering worship to the Lord. Sakijana, becoming a friend of the Lord. And Atma Nivedana, fully surrendering oneself unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all these 9 processes are given to establish our connection with Krishna. But it is said, in this age of Kali, right, we don't have the nice paraphernalia to perform any kind of worship, right? We don't have the samagri or the paraphernalia to perform such worship. Hence, it is said, by simply chanting the holy names of the Lord, we will get the benefits of doing everything else. Right? Also, we have experienced in our lockdown time now, right? Everything else is not accessible now. We are not able to go to the temple. We are not able to do deity worship in the temple. We are not able to do garlands for the deities in the temple. All other services have become not accessible. So by practical experience, we understand that it is only the chanting of the holy names of the Lord that is possible to be done in all circumstances. Moreover, as and when we get old, we may not have the strength and the capacity to do deity worship. Also, there are a lot of rules and regulations to be followed in deity worship, right? We may not be able to do parikrama, Govardhan parikrama, all that we may not be able to do when we become aged. So the one seva that can be done at all time and it is most effective, right, is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Also, it is said, other process of devotional service requires certain purity, right? You can't get up at 1 o'clock in the morning and suddenly you want to give dhanam to one brahmana, or you want to do deity worship, are you allowed? No. Even your home deities, you cannot worship at 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. in the morning. The deities are resting, isn't it? But even at 1 a.m. in the morning, you can pick up your japa beads and you can start chanting the holy names of the Lord. So no time, place, and circumstance needs to be checked. There are no rules and regulations in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And yet, it is the best process. Isn't that a wonderful process that we need to take? So we have no excuse why we should take, right? The best and the easiest and the most effective process is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Right? So it is described by the Acharyas how we cannot understand the holy name by our own efforts. We can definitely take the sankalpa. I will get up in the morning. I will do my 16 rounds during Brahma Muhurta, minimum 16 rounds during Brahma Muhurta. We can take a sankalpa. However, all our sankalpa will become successful only when the Supreme Personality of Godhead's mercy is there. That is why it is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 17.136. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhaved Grahyam Indriyaihi Sevonmukehi Jivadhau Swayam Eva Suratyada. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi, the Lord's name, form, qualities, and pastimes, Adi, right? Na bhaved grayam indriyahi. We cannot understand by our own senses. Indriyahi. We cannot understand. How can we understand? Sevon mukehi jiva. Though jiva means tongue. How can we render service using our tongue? Two kinds of services. One, we can chant the holy names of the Lord. Two, we can take Krishna Prasadam. When we continuously chant the holy names of the Lord and take only Krishna Prasadam, then the Supreme Lord, by his mercy, what he will do? Swayam eva suratyada. He will automatically make us understand his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. That is the only way. By our own endeavor, we cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his name, his form, his qualities, his pastimes. That we cannot understand. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Satadam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. See, Krishna is said to be Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, right? Krishna is equal to everybody, but he is especially inclined to his devotees. See, there is a very beautiful example which is said, say a mother has two children. One is 2-year-old, one is 7-year-old. The 7-year-old is busy playing with the toys. The 2-year-old is always crying, mummy, 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 like that, right? When the child is always crying, mummy, mummy, the mother, right, leaves all her work and sits with the child because the child is constantly crying for the mother. The 7-year-old is busy with the toys. Right, and even when the 7-year-old also, when he gets bored with the toys, he calls, "Mummy, come here." The mother is busy in the kitchen cooking. Then the child again gets busy with the toys, and the mother is not coming out. After some time, the child is very hungry and is desperate for the mother, and he cries, "Mummy, please come." Then the mother says, mother comes and gives another toy. Then the child is satisfied. The child starts playing with other toy. The mother goes back to the kitchen. Now, after some time, the child is really hungry, right? The mother comes and gives another toy. What does the child do? He takes the toy, throws it. I don't want any toy. I want only my mother. Then the mother understands that the child wants her and no one else. So that is the mood the Acharyas explain, that we have to chant for seeing Lord Krishna, for getting service for Lord Krishna. Right? When we do that means one other thing is that if we don't have taste in chanting, we should check our association. Right? It is said that the 2 hours of chanting, the quality depends upon how we spend the remaining 22 hours. Right? If you're indulged in criticism, watching TV, gossiping, etc., we cannot expect to have taste in chanting. Right? It is also explained how the currency of one country does not work in another country. Right? Like for example, the US currency does not work in India. Similarly, the attitude of arrogance, competitiveness, envy, etc., they are the currency of the material world. It does not work in the spiritual world. If our spiritual world, if we want to go back to the spiritual world, it is said humility, service attitude, these are the currency of the spiritual world. Right? So we need to cultivate these currency if we want to get there. Right? And different acharyas explain that chanting is also a skill which we need to develop. right? Just like when we were small, we were learning cycling, right? That time we have to be very careful. Where is the handlebar? How do we balance? Where is the pedal? How do we move? And then we have to support wheels also. We try to pedal and the full focus is there on the cycle, right? But after some time, with continuous practice, we know how to ride the cycle, and then we try our stunts, but leave our hand also and ride like that. Similarly, chanting is also a skill which we need to develop. In the initial stages, we have to be very focused, and then it becomes a way of life. When we chant, we'll automatically focus on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like that. And it is very beautifully explained in the Shastras how the sadhya and the sadhana both are the holy names. Right? We use the process of sadhana, which means we've got the instruction from our spiritual master, hence we are chanting the holy names of the Lord. And what is the sadhya? Even after perfecting our lives, we would be chanting the holy names of the Lord, but we would be doing with prema bhakti, we'd be so attracted to the holy names of the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami mentions in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila, chapter 1, text 99, what is the ecstasy of chanting the holy name in complete Krishna prema? He says, Unde Tandavi Niratim Vitanute Undavali Labdaye Karna Krodha Kadambini Gatayate Karnar Budebhyas Praham Cheta Prangana Sangini Vijayate Sarvendriya Kriti no jane janita kiya piramrite Krishniti varna dvai. So Rupa Goswami is saying, when I chant the holy names of Krishna, I want millions and millions of mouths. And when I hear the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, I want millions and millions of ears. The holy name dances in the courtyard of my heart. Right? Acheta Prangana, Sangini. So the holy name, like a companion, is dancing in my heart, and therefore all my senses become inert. This is the sadhya. This is the level of chanting that is done at the sadhya stage, right? So when we hear such wonderful results of chanting the holy names of the Lord, we get motivated. One day we can reach a particular stage, right? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clearly says two things that can help to get us the mercy to attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead quickly. What are those two things? Prabhu kahe Vaishnava seva, nama sankirtana, dui kare shigra pabe, Shri Krishna charana. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya-lila 16.70. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you have to do two things. One, Vaishnava Seva. Two, Nama Sankirtana. See, the meaning of the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is, O Krishna, O Srimati Radharani, please engage me in your service. So when we are asking for it, and in the remaining 22 hours, when we get Seva, we have to be Utsahat, Nisyat and Dhairyat. We have to be enthusiastic to perform that service. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Supreme Lord sees that we are chanting Hare Krishna and we are also performing the service that we are getting, then how do we perform this service? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you have to string this verse across your neck. Tranadapi shunichena tarorpi sahishrana amanina manavena kirtaniya sadahari. When we develop this humility, right, and the tolerance to exercise devotional service, irrespective of whatever happens, then the Supreme Lord, by his mercy, will actually give us Krishna Prema. Srila Prabhupada describes, humility is not artificial. When we recognize the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically humility is actually honesty. Right? You are so insignificant. You are dependent on the Lord for everything. So in that mood, humility automatically manifests in a devotee. Shri Harinam Prabhu ki Jai. Today is also the most auspicious day of Srila Prabhupada's arrival in the United States of America. It is very glorious that we are discussing on the glories of the holy name on this most auspicious day. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. One more important point before I end the talk is there are 10 offenses that need to be avoided in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but there are no offenses in the chanting of the Panchatattva mantra. That is why it is recommended that we chant at least once, the Panchatattva mantra before we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It is prescribed actually. So let us chant one time the Panchatattva mantra and 3 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra as we conclude the session today, praying to the Lord that we may also get taste in chanting the holy names of the Lord. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we will end here. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to His Grace Sanatana Dharma Prabhu, Krishna Kumar Prabhu, and Rani Mataji for this opportunity to share something about the glories of the holy name on the most auspicious day of Srila Prabhupada reaching America. I would also like to thank all the devotees who joined in the session today. Thank you so much for your kind and patient hearing. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. If there are one or two questions, then I can try to answer them. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.